Today we're going to introduce to business owners and their advisors the concept of using an employee stock ownership plan, commonly referred to as an ESOP, in business exit planning. Using an ESOP rather than selling to a third party, family member, or internal management group can often provide the best of all worlds to the business owner. Let's start off with some examples of companies which may benefit from using an ESOP, and then we will revisit those companies at the end of the video.
Acme Solutions Inc. is a plumbing company doing business as an S-Corp across several states in the Midwest. It is a second-generation family-owned business with 5 family member shareholders, each owning 20% of the stock. The company has about 100 employees and is valued at around $15 million. One of the family members is looking to cash out of the business and move on. The other 4 family members are not particularly eager to buy her out, but do not want her to find an outside party to purchase her stock either.
Green & Gold LLC is a heating and air conditioning company owned 100% by Fred and Helen Thompson. They're looking to ease out of the business and into retirement. Green & Gold is valued at about $4 million and has about 20 employees. It has one key employee, Matt McCarthy, who has taken a larger and larger role in the management of the company over the past several years. Matt tells Fred that he would like to buy 51% of the company, not all of the business, because he doesn't have enough financing to purchase 100%.
Steve Johnson owns 100% of Blue Star Inc., a C Corp and the largest grocery store chain in Texas. Blue Star has 500 employees and is valued at $50 million. Steve would like to sell his business, but doesn't know what he would do with his life if he weren't working. In other words, he would like to cash out, but have the option of staying on as the CEO for a number of years. Steve has been approached by a business broker named Mike Cuban. Mike is trying to talk Steve into signing an agreement for Mike to sell his business to a third party. The agreement calls for a non-refundable $25,000 deposit by Steve and a 7% success fee. Steve would like to get the business sold within 90 days, but Mike tells him 9 to 12 months is much more realistic.
ESOP is a tax-qualified retirement plan, much like a 401k plan, and it's subject to a lot of the same rules and regulations as other tax-qualified retirement plans. The difference is that an ESOP is intended to invest primarily in the stock of the company itself. In addition, it allows the employees of the company to become owners of stock in the company.
An ESOP is a great tool for business exit planning because you create your own buyer. The actual purchaser of the stock is the ESOP trustee who buys the stock for the benefit of the ESOP and the participating employees. An ESOP is often better than selling to a third party because a third party will often want to buy 100% of the business, whereas an ESOP can be satisfied with buying only a minority interest of the company or buying parts of the company over a longer period of time. Just about any company can implement an ESOP. The company should be profitable, and ideally it should have at least 20 employees. There are many examples of successful ESOP companies. Avis Rent-A-Car, Public Supermarkets are 2 good examples.
There are several significant tax advantages to selling to an ESOP, depending on whether you are a C corporation or an S corporation. In a C corporation setting, the business owner can defer all taxes on the sale proceeds simply by reinvesting them in qualified U.S. securities. The business owner would then be taxed at a capital gains rate on the amounts that he cashes out, or if kept in U.S. securities, his beneficiaries would inherit them completely tax-free.
Selling to an S corporation ESOP can be more advantageous than selling to a C corporation ESOP. First of all, the S corporation itself, as a pass-through entity, pays no income taxes. Second, the ESOP itself is a tax-exempt entity. Therefore, the combination of the S corporation ESOP results in no federal income taxes and, in most cases, no state income taxes. That combination gives an S corporation ESOP a great advantage over its competitors.
All employees who work at least 1,000 hours per year for the employer must be allowed to participate in the ESOP. However, the stock is not actually allocated equally among those employees, but rather in proportion to compensation. In many cases, the business owner, him or herself, can participate in the ESOP, provided that he or she stays employed with the company following the transaction. It's a common misperception that rank and file employees must be allowed to run and manage an ESOP company. In actuality, an ESOP company is run and managed just like any other organization. Let's revisit the Blue Star scenario. Steve can stay on as CEO and president of Blue Star and develop a management team to take over after he retires. Steve would also save the commission cost to Mike, which would have been $3.5 million, instead paying $20,000 to $50,000 for the ESOP transaction. Further, Blue Star's employees are rewarded for their loyalty, and Steve does not have to worry about a new owner coming in and purging the company. Finally, Steve could roll over up to 100% of the proceeds of the sale into qualified U.S. securities and delay capital gains taxes until he cashed out of the securities. Whatever proceeds that were not cashed out at the time of his death would accrue to his beneficiaries with a stepped-up basis, resulting in no capital gains taxes to his beneficiaries.
In most cases, the money will come from a lender, like a bank, or from the seller through a promissory note. So the employees themselves don't have to contribute any of their own money to become participants in the plan. This is an advantage over selling to a small group of key employees who would have to come up with the money to finance the purchase themselves. There are two sets of players involved in putting together an ESOP. The first set are the parties to the transaction themselves: the company, the selling stockholder, the buyer, who is the trustee of the ESOP, and the lender, if there is one. The second set are the advisors that help to put the transaction together, such as the employee benefits attorney, the business valuation firm, and the third-party record keeper. Let's revisit Acme. Acme could establish an ESOP to purchase the 20% ownership stake of the exiting family member. The ESOP would be a silent partner in the company. The trustee of the ESOP, which could be a committee, single person, or institution, would vote the shares. The remaining family members could sell their shares to the ESOP as well. As an S-Corp, after the transaction, 20% of the profits would be exempt from federal taxes and possibly state taxes, depending on the state, which means that payments to the selling family member could be made more quickly. Finally, Acme's employees become employee owners and have a direct stake in the company's success.
The cost of selling a business to an ESOP is often less than selling a business to a third party. In fact, in many cases, the cost is much less because the business broker will generally charge a commission equal to a percentage of the sale price. The sales price will be the fair market value of the business as determined by an independent appraiser. That price may be less than a strategic buyer might be willing to pay, but it will nevertheless be a fair and reasonable price. Let's revisit Green & Gold LLC. Fred and Helen can sell 51% of the company to Matt and then establish an ESOP to buy the other 49%. The company will have to convert to a corporation first or elect to be taxed as a corporation. Even if Matt does not want to be trustee of the ESOP, as 51% owner, he will still be making all important management decisions. Assuming Green & Gold is converted to an S corporation, 49% of its profits will be non-taxable for federal income tax purposes and, in most cases, for state income tax purposes. Matt could later sell his shares to the ESOP or buy the ESOP's shares for fair market value. If current employee talent is important to retain, this employee ownership model will be incentive for continuity. Matt, Fred, and Helen could all participate in the ESOP, with certain limitations, if they continue to earn compensation and perform services for the company.
It can take years to find an interested and qualified third-party buyer. Conversely, with an ESOP, the process can be accomplished in as little as 60 to 90 days because you've created your own buyer.